Right. So just a little news you can use. So on degree days, for those of you who pay attention to that or whatever, for the last 20 years, going back 20 years worth of degree days, we are officially the coldest ever in 20 years. So yay. But that's that's where we are. There are some amazing things going on out there. I never thought I would see the day when a rhododendron would be blooming in our area in June, but that is going to happen. So rhododendrons will finally start opening up next week. And it's amazing that we still have lilacs and azaleas blooming this week. So on the flip side, it's putting us back a little bit on some of the crops that we're really looking forward to adding at the end of the month. We're probably going to need an additional week or so. It really depends how warm it gets. So I hope everybody can be patient. We're really looking at those next crops, really watching them, but we really have not had any meaningful growth happening out there, which we really need to start moving into new crops. So that's kind of what's going on out there. So first photo here, I wanted to jump in and show you velvets. So we have a little bit of a confusing issue going on here, so I want to make sure I talk about it. So if you see the first photo off to your left is the 3 gallons. That's what we're shipping. These are really big this year. They're definitely over spec, oversized. The one in the middle is our 5 gallon. That's that upright 5. They are virtually the same size, if not the 5 might. The 5 is just at its 15-inch spec. Off to the right, we just added 500 velvet squat. Now those have pushed enough to start getting those on, but they are just at the 18-inch mark, which you can see from the photo. So be very careful how you talk those up. You cannot promise them as a 24. They are not that big. So they're just at our spec 18. The 5 gallon, I would just assume you don't focus on the 5 gallon and really focus on the 3. Still, the 3 is the best value they got out there. I know sometimes you get job specs and you can't do anything about it. But for those people who need something a little bigger, push towards that 7 gallon 18, that squat 7. So that's the way it lines up. These photos will stay in here. So if you need those photos to show to customers, Cheryl did a nice job making a little slide there. So you could use that if you need to. So next up is burning bush. Go to that. That should be the 15 gallon, right? Yep. So we got 15 gallon there. Just excellent size on that. They're up to the 48-inch. The guys went out there and they did some spacing on that block to make sure they had plenty of space between them, so we could just keep getting that thing as big as we can. So this thing will land out there with a lot of wow factor on it for the size, the shape. You can see there, it's just got a great shape, and we got 300 plus of those available. Grass. I want to show you Lightning Strike. This was a new one for us last year into this spring. It's in a 2 gallon PTW. It is a Calamagrostis type, but it has that really cool variegation in it. It's going to be a very tough grass. It's going to be very adaptable, just like Carl Forster would be. But it's got a. We used to grow Avalanche, which didn't have as good of a variegation in it. This one has much better variegation in it. So that's nice to have. And we do have availability on it. So next one would be Tiny Wine. So here's where we are. We officially ran out of Physocarpa yesterday or this morning. This is the only Physocarpa we have left. We just shipped through yesterday and this morning on Summer Wine and the others. I'm trying to bring some in, desperately trying to bring some in. I think I got some landing Tuesday. Our crop is still behind because of the temps. We're probably a couple weeks away on our crops, but we do have Tiny Wine available. So, we do have those. We got 500 plus available. Hopefully that can tide us over a little bit. As soon as I can work something out, I'll let you know. So that's the status on Physocarpa. Next, we wanted to show you, I've never seen these look so good out in the nursery, especially after bloom time. But these things here just popped and they're just perfect. Mountain fires, there's 500 of them out there. Man, when you see those things on pallets, you see them from a mile away, just that beautiful different types of colors on there. And we haven't had availability on this plant for a long time. So that's great that we have availability. So, people may be thinking, they might look a little trashy this time of year because of the bloom is kind of done. These things, we got the blooms off of them. We got a pop of new growth. I think it'd be a great plant to land with a lot of color, a lot of interest. So next is just want to show you a little bit of quick ship B&B. Sorry, the photos are gloomy, but it's been a little gloomy out here. But, just take a look at the Q codes. So we got some upright pine, fastigiate pines and spruce. We got a few pendulas, and you can scroll down a little bit, Lee. What else? Yeah, just keep scrolling. So there's some weeping hemlock and some other weepers there. And we do keep going. We got a few Coosa type dogwoods and Florida dogwoods still hanging around, but just look at your Q codes. They're there. These are yesterday afternoon photos. They're all spaced out, untied, and we can process those right away, just like a container, and get them on a truck for you. So take a look at that. Anybody looking for those? We have a little bit of selection. I know Jay still has some stuff too. So. All right. Next, Miss Kim. Show you that in a 7-gallon there. You can see they're loaded with buds. Now the French hybrids, they're pretty much wrapping up, the hyacinthifolias, but now we're getting into the kind of the more Korean types. I would expect them to be popping next week. Sorry about that. I expect those to be popping next week. We also have, I do believe, Bloomerang Dark Purple in a 7-gallon as well. But these Miss Kims are just loaded, and man, they're going to be blazing next week. So we've got a couple hundred of those. Next, we want to show you, hopefully we start getting into the re-wholesalers. Hopefully they start turning on, once we get a couple days drying out. So it's time to think about them. This is an excellent value, Chicago Luster in a 3-gallon. You can see there it's pushing 36 inch. It's got a good body to it. These would be great for jobs out there. We have 800 plus. This should beat anybody's 5 or 7 out there. Give them the size with a cheaper price. So that might be a good way to kind of get things rolling. Maybe talk about this one when you're talking to the re-wholesalers and the landscapers. And last one should be a Taxus, Hicksai. Here's another one for the re-wholesale landscape market. Cheryl was able to get the next crop on. You can see there, we're looking really good. We're starting to push growth. I expect those to really push out. Once that growth pushes out, I don't think it's going to take too many warm days. We'll be approaching that 30-inch mark. That photo's a little deceiving. It's just really a solid 24. But we should be really pushed out past the 30-inch mark by the end of next week. But we do have 1,000 of them available. They all look like that. Really good grade on the crop. I know she didn't put an overview, but they're looking real good, and hopefully we can start moving some of those. And I would expect that most of the guys are done digging B&B. I don't think there's too many areas, even up north, that are really digging too much anymore. Stuff's starting to break now. So that's usually when we start turning these on, when the guys can't get the B&B that sometimes can run a little cheaper. So be a good time to talk about it. All right, just one other thing with lilacs and azaleas. Do not promise, other than the Korean types, do not promise a flower next week. Those are definitely going down. It's later than normal. I do have plants that look really good, but don't promise the flower. In most cases, the flower is starting to go down. So make sure you're looking at that very closely. If you got somebody that really is bringing that in with the intention of having a flower, that's not going to work. Now, like I said before, roadies will be perfect for next week. They'll be really full open by next weekend. So that would be a good one that we normally don't talk about this time of year. So just be aware of that. Some of these one-shot bloomers are getting to the end here.
What I'm showing you right now is varieties of hydrangea, or not hydrangeas, but clematis. That's got some good availability to it still. This one, like I said, it's a Tranquility. It's a zone 4 through zone 4 9. It will get to 6 feet in height to 2 inches in width, which makes it really good for those really tall trellises you may have. This is an icy blue to baby blue flower. This is in a 19-centimeter pot. It prefers to be in moist and well-drained soil. Like I said, as you can see from the picture, it is just loaded with flowers and buds. I've got good numbers on these. If your customers are still looking for some clematis with some buds and blooms, this is a good variety to pick from. It's loaded with flowers all the way up to the top of the trellis. It does recommend that you remove the dead or the weak stems, and also avoid over pruning it because you don't want to be losing too many of your buds. It's best grown in the shade spot because what's good, what you want to do is put this in the part of your garden spot that's sort of like this sort of dull and gray. The color of this would lighten it up even if it's in a partial shaded area. So that's the Tranquility. Go ahead to the next picture. Now, this is the Clematis Sapphire Indigo. This is another variety I have. I have some really good numbers and availabilities on this still. As you can see, the picture is loaded with buds, and it's just starting to show some color, some flowers from them. This right here is another zone 4 through 9. It will get to 3 feet in height to 3 feet in width. It is a dark blue. I mean, this is really a rich, dark blue flower. It will bloom from June all the way through up to September. It prefers being well-drained soil, and also, like I said, prefers to be in cool and more warm zone area. It can be used as a ground cover or as a vine. Good for blue colors, and also, like I said, it'll flower all season long. Go ahead to the next picture.
So the one thing to remember with clematis in general, they can be grown in full sun, but keep your roots shaded. That's the best ideal for them. If you do run them in a lot of sun and the roots are and heat up, they will start to diminish over time.
Now we put on, I would say, 95% of the echinaceas. There's probably just one variety that's still a bit on the small side, but the rest of them we did put on for you. As you can see, the very first one I'm up here showing, I'm not going to show all of them, I'm just showing you some highlights for some of them to show some difference of them. This is the echinacea, the Kimsett yellow. It's also known as a cone flower. It's a zone 4 through 9. It will get 16 inches in height, is 24 inches in width. This is a beautiful yellow flower. This is a 17 centimeter. Where, as you may know, we did away with the 19 centimeters. We've been putting all of them on 17 centimeter, and we pretty much almost sold through that entire crop. So right now, the crop, the can shot should be consistent now. All of them, the rest of the echinaceas going out should be in 17 centimeters for at least this new can we got going on. All right, it prefers to be in the full sun. Once it's established, you want to occasionally water it, especially when it starts getting hotter, especially if it's in a container, because it'll dry out a lot more faster. This one is a yellow, and it's different due to the sheer flower numbers, and it's a fabulous habit. It blooms early and continues to bloom into the late throughout the season. What's the next variety? Okay, this one is the Echinacea Compact Rose. This is the smaller compact variety compared to the other ones. Also known as a cone flower, it's zone 4 through 9. You get 20 inches to 24 inches in height to 18 to 24 inches in width. This is a beautiful, more of a pink, almost sort of like lavender-like flower to it. It's also, like I said, in a 17 centimeter. Once again, like all echinacea, this is basically raw echinacea. Once some of they're established, you want to water them occasionally. But if you are going to keep them in some type of container, you might have to water it more often, especially if you got it up in the patio in the full sun. Go ahead to the next variety. Now, this one is the Kismet Intense Orange. The thing about this variety, it's zone 4 through 9, but it gets 16 inches in height to 24 inches in wide. This one, it's more of a taller one for when it comes to the echinaceous varieties. As you can see, you'll have some shoots going up really tall, but you got some really small ones coming up right underneath it. This is one, when it comes to flower, this one is probably out farther than the rest, but it's still, there's a lot of them that's got a lot of buds. As you can see of them, they got a lot of buds and bloom for them. So they should be showing some color, hopefully by Tuesday. But like I said, they got a lot of buds and blooms from these. This one is also a variety where it's planted in the full sun. And once again, like I said before, for all echinaceas, water occasionally, but you want to water extra when it's also in the container. Next variety. Okay, this is the echinacea, the lemon yellow. Like as you can see from the other picture, this one it start off as more of a dwarf type, small but yet compact, loaded flowers echinacea. This one is a zone 3 through 8. It will get 18 inches in, 22 inches in height, the 22 to 40 inches in width. This is another variety I have that's yellow. Great about this is that once they come out this really bright yellow when they come out, and they'll start fading to more of a lighter, almost yellow-white as the flower goes and progress with age. Compared to the original ones, this variety is more wider, overlapping with petals. And like I said, it stays more of a short, compact form. Go ahead to the next picture. Okay, this is the sedum sweet and sour. I showed this one 2 weeks ago, but I want to show it again. As you can see, this is in a 19 centimeter, but it is really, really big. The customer should be really happy for this because you're getting a good size quality plant for that size in the pot. It's in zone 4 through 8. It is a yellow, bicolor, almost variegated foliage like sedum. It prefers to be in well-drained soil. These do best when you plant them in the full sun. It is tolerated to drought, so keep that in mind. It is a beautiful variegated form of a stone crop sedum. It's good for rock gardens and also for when you're doing this patio or containers, you want to plant right in the bottom to hide the bareness of any other perennial variety or shrub you may have. Okay, all right, go ahead to the next variety. The next one I have is a hydrangea Annabelle. This is a crop we brought in early in the season. We still through a lot of them, but we still got some really good numbers for these. They're not showing any flowers or blooms on them, but as you can see, the foliage is nice and clean, it's green, and it's full in the container. It's a zone 3 through 9. It would get to 3 to 5 feet in height to 4 to 6 feet in width. Prefers to be in a moist, well-drained soil. And as you can see to the picture to the right, once it starts flowering, you get these really huge white heads of white flowers on them. It is a stunning white flower, often produces heads between 10 inches in diameter. And these are 2 gallons. All right, this is the Salvia Rose Marvel. I showed this picture 2 weeks ago. What's stunning about this one, it's a little taller than it was 2 weeks ago, but it's still loaded with buds and bloom, which just tells me from seeing this variety, it is you got some really long-lasting shelf life on this variety. It's loaded with flowers. I mean, this is almost going on 4 weeks now for this one. It's still loaded with flowers. This one, like I said, this is a Rose Marvel. It's also known as Salvia. It is a purplish, like pink, like spiked flowers to them. It prefers to be a moist and well-drained soil. Like I said, these are very vigorous growers, especially when you get them up in the sun. It prefers to be planted in the direct sun. It has a wide range of tolerance when it comes to soil and pH and other textures in the soil. But like I said, this is the Rose Marvel. Next picture, please. And this one is also the Salvia, but this is the Blue Marble. Now, this one is not as far as the rose marble is, but as you can see, it is just starting to get flowers on them. I have two separate crops for this, so if you sell through the first crop, the second crop will be coming along. It'll be full of flowers, so it's also two. From what I'm seeing, these got some very long shelf life when it comes to flower. This has a stunning violet blue spikes to them. It also prefers to be in moist or well-drained soil. And these varieties are great for pollinators to attract hummingbirds and bees and butterflies to your garden. It's a lovely, vigorous salvia, brings in the pollinators, like I said before. And once again, when it comes to salvia, you want to make sure you keep them in a moist, well-drained soil. Next picture.
So that was the last one.
Okay.
So there's a couple requests for information this week. One was on the buddleia crop, where it's at, what we're doing with it. First crop has been sold through. Dave and I have been looking at the, shall we call it regular crop? Looked at it on Wednesday. We felt it was still a little on the sticky side on your old tried and true varieties like Black Knight, and so on. Buzzes were close. We looked at it again yesterday. We feel by the time these get on a truck, especially with the heat that's coming up this weekend, we should be fine. So we went ahead and rolled all those on. They will not be quite as full or quite as nice as what you saw with horse crops, because we didn't really heat these per se. But we did just take the plastic off here yesterday actually. So they should be good to go at this point. That's the status of the buddleia. And I guess word's gotten out that we started trimming roses. This is the first of the split trims. Just to clue everyone in on what we do, I will typically look at manager's weekly report on Thursday. We take approximately 25% of what's available, and then we'll go out and trim that. If it's a small number, we'll say if it's less than 50 plants, we're probably not going to trim it because there's a good possibility to get sold. But we have started to split trims on that. So that's FYI on the roses.